Want to know how to make beautifully, perfectly smoked salsa? Let's find out. Welcome back to Barbecue It. I'm your host, Craig Kimberly, and today I am amazingly over the moon excited about this recipe I've been working on for several years. Here comes one amazing smoked salsa. Now let's look at what ingredients we need for this. And of course, all this is open to interpretation. You can do whatever you want. But cilantro, you must have. Garlic, this is going to be smoked and roasted. It's going to be gorgeous. Tomatillos, we're going to peel these and rinse them. For the heat, serrano, jalapeno, poblano, love them to death. All different flavors and different heat levels. White onion, black pepper, salt, today via Cape Ann sea salt, of course. And to cut it with acidity, we got a little lime, a little white vinegar, and our tomatoes. And you're going to learn about the different tomatoes and why you can use different ones at different times. So there's a little breakdown of what you're going to need for this recipe. And of course, a Weber would be good, or any type of, you can do this on a gas grill. You can do it on any charcoal grill. Of course, I happen to be rocking the Weber, not at Barbecue Stadium out back, but front porch. And for the wood, going to actually using Weber again. We're using some Weber apple, nice and sweet flavor. And today I'm testing out briquettes I've never tried before. These are from Fogo. And this bag, does it say, it says 16 pounds. This bag weighs like 20. I should weigh it. And I've already used some of it last night on the beach. It was great. So Fogo, burn forever. It's going to be great. And my charcoal lighter today is going to be, of course, I love these Royal Oak tumbleweeds. They work awesome. All right, let's get our fire lit. All right, we'll plop down our 2 tumbleweeds. And we're gonna do, we don't need a full chimney here. We'll do like 3/4. So there we go, doing about a half a chimney, 2 tumbleweeds. Get that sparked. And we can't have smoke until we have fire. Okay, so the coals are on, they're getting started. Before we start prepping the veggies and doing what we can before the heat's ready, let's talk time, temperature, and technique. Time is going to be approximately about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, depending on your heat and how much char you put on your stuff and smoke. Temperature, 275, 350, it doesn't matter, anywhere in there. We're gonna get great smoke, and we're going to char these. Technique, there we go. Offset smoking and charring on the coals, slightly. We want our peppers to get a little bit of color. We'll throw a tomato or 2 on there as well. The garlic, as you will see in a moment, is the star of the show, and this, my friend, is what we're making sure we get correctly. Tomatillos will get roasted as well. And that's it. That's all that's going on the grill. All right, let's start prepping our veggies. All right, so first up, let's prep our garlic. This is a beautiful, fresh, local garlic. That thing is huge. We're gonna whack the top of this and expose all of those beautiful garlic cloves, okay? Next, I love these. Actually, my wife turned me on to these foil sheets, nice and quick and easy. We're gonna wrap this in foil, but not close it up, actually. It's just giving it a nice little cocoon to keep the heat in, and you will see how gorgeous this turns out. Next, we're gonna hit this with a little bit of olive oil and then a little bit of salt. You know what, let's go with the, look at that, Cape Ann, beautiful dried chili peppers. Oh, smells good. All right, so we're gonna hit the top of this, a little bit of olive oil. See, not a ton, just a little, just like that. And let's just pepper this, if you will, with a little bit of that Cape Ann sea salt. And this, my friends, is a pod of magic coming our way. All right, so as you can see, our coals have started to gray across the top. Fire has taken them over. I'll call that ready to dump. Gonna put those towards the back. All right, and of course, so I'm using applewood, but you can use any flavor you like, hickory, pecan, cherry. I think mesquite might be a little bit too much for this recipe, but hey, that's your preference, go for it. As far as setting your Weber, I've got the top vent about halfway, and I've got the bottom vent about halfway, just getting good airflow. Excellent, smoke's rolling, let's start prepping some stuff. This onion, I'm just gonna peel and lightly chop and then throw into the processor. It doesn't have to be obviously chopped up a bunch because the food processor is going to do that for us. right, we've got clean smoke rolling and we're about 350. We're jamming, we're hot, but let's get some stuff on here, of course. Our garlic gonna be offset. Our poblanos, we're not gonna use all of these. I'm just cooking them up because some of them I'm gonna use later. And let's do 2 jalapenos. As you can see, these are a little closer to the heat. And the tomatillos. And these are all gonna get roasty and smoky and good. Okay, so garlic's on, peppers are on, and eventually I will put a tomato on there as well and get that roasted. So let's talk tomatoes first. Now, off season, what do you do when you want to make salsa and you can't get a good tomato? This is what I do. Because right now we're in season, of course these are gorgeous. And we like these for sandwiches and gazpacho and everything else. But if you're in the middle of winter in New England like me and you want to make smoked salsa still, these are great alternatives. And not so much the brands as looking for ones that are high quality and that you've taste tested. I've tested these before. They are heavenly sweet and delicious, and so are these. So I've, different brands at different times of the year, wherever I'm at, if I'm traveling and I'm making salsa, these work great. Don't think that it has to be big giant tomatoes to make salsa. This is good enough. And we're gonna use a combination of everything today. All right, so let's whack up one of these fresh ones and we will throw that in our blender. And I'm just rough chopping this just to make sure it, doesn't get jammed up in there and whatnot. And you can let some of that excess liquid run out because we're actually gonna do a little straining later to make sure that we don't have a overly wet salsa. And let's use all of this. So we shall not waste. All goes in there. And we're gonna use a great combination. And let me taste test this. That's good. So these, I'm just gonna whack up a little bit. Just kind of rough chop them. You don't have to do this. You could technically just throw them in there. I like to just give the blender a hand. And I don't know if you've ever made salsa before, but salsa is something that can change in a variety of ways every time you make it. And it's really an eyeball test. How does it look? Is it where you want it? Does it have enough red? Does it have enough green? Is it tasting like you want? So this isn't a dead-on recipe. This is basically an eyeball recipe. I know what salsa looks like. I know I'm using a certain amount of tomatoes. So here we've used, probably a cup of the small ones, maybe a half cup of the medium ones, and right now a large one, and then another large one is gonna go on the smoker. All right, so that right there is a pretty good solid base for what the salsa is gonna become. All right, let's get these closed up. Now I know I'm gonna use at least a whole lime, at least a half a lime. So I know I use at least a half a lime, so I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze that in there now. Again, another thing that's going to be to taste. I'm gonna do a little splash of vinegar, white vinegar, and I mean just a splash. It's like a tablespoon or less. We'll see how that tastes as we go. Why not put some fresh black pepper in there now? A little black pepper in there. And let me get a scoop of this Cape Ann sea salt. Throw that in there. That's the red pepper flake, red chili, dried chili, I should say. And then some of their regular sea salt. And this stuff, I'm sure I've used it before on the show, but I tell you, unbelievable. This is solar dried, hand harvested and solar dried in the sun. No, no mechanics, no nothing, just sitting out in the sun drying, and it is the best salt you've ever had in your life. All right, and cilantro. I know I'm gonna use possibly this whole head depending on how this looks, but I'm gonna go with what looks like about 3/4 of a cup of cilantro. That goes in there. And if we want, we can go ahead and pulse this to get it started. Half of our ingredients are in here. We're gonna whack this a few times on the pulse just to break it up, get it started. And next up, we'll wait for our smoked ingredients. All right, let's check in on our smoking stuff. Looking at, we're about 275 right now. And that's what we wanna see, people. Gorgeous. Let's see. Peppers are going. We're gonna scoot those in a little closer. And we're rocking. Okay, so we're about 30 minutes in and we're at 300 degrees. Our smoke has calmed down, but it's still smoking. I'm gonna roll our peppers closer to the heat now and start to get that final char. The tomatillos are looking ready, and we're gonna go ahead and throw on a plump, ripe tomato and get that over the heat as well. All right, 30 minutes in, about 15, 20 to go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pull these tomatillos. They are tender, roasted, and ready to go. As you can see, soft, gooey, gorgeous. Get these off, let them rest, and check on our tomato. As you can see, is roasting up good. The peppers are roasting good, starting to get a little char on them. Skin starting to blister, see that? You know you love it. And the smoke, actually I threw a couple tiny little pieces of fresh apple on there. Remember when I said I like to keep one jalapeno fresh? Let's go ahead and chop that up. And yes, the seeds are gonna stay in it. We're just gonna rough chop this so that it gets incorporated into the salsa, but is not gonna be that chipotle-like smoked jalapeno that we have on the grill right now. So we'll throw those in the mix as well. All right, so we have basically just hit the 1 hour mark, and it's time to pull the tomato, the peppers, and the garlic's gonna sit for a little bit longer. Solid 300 for an hour, like clockwork. Let's get that tomato off of there before it explodes. Whoa, there we go, look at that, gorgeous. These peppers are ready. Look at the char we got on that poblano. You see, oh, there we go. Look at that char on there, gorgeous. So there you go. We're just gonna cover this in saran wrap for a few minutes and wait for our garlic to finish up. And then we'll be mixing our salsa. Okay, 1 hour and 15. Let's pull our garlic. Now look at that, my friends. You see why we leave it open is so we can get the smoke on there. And if we go in there and touch it, oh, they're tender. We're gonna let this cool for a few seconds and then we're gonna start mixing. And here we go with the fun part. Let's check in on our stuff that's rested a little bit. They've sweated a little bit. The peppers look gorgeous. We can go right ahead and pop these well, let's throw some of these fresh jalapenos in there. You don't have to do them all. We're gonna throw the tomatillos in there, beautifully roasted. Look at that, they're just stunning. Smell great. We're gonna throw our entire whole tomato in there. Boom, just throw it in there. It's gonna actually, woo, that's hot. Crush it up, let it do its thing. Now, we're gonna peel the skin off of these poblanos, really easy. These aren't hot anymore, they've been sitting for 10 minutes. Am I not rolling? Oh, no, I'm rolling. Been sitting for 10 minutes. And let's just get all the meat off of that pepper and do that for both of them. Today we'll be using 2 poblanos. Like I said, this recipe switches up all the time. It depends on the mood I'm in, how much heat I put in, or how many, how much of, tomatillos. I might do 2 tomatillos one day, I might do 4 the next. This is a kind of to taste recipe and the mood you're in. Try to get as much of this skin off as we can. It's not crucial if you don't get it all. Some of it still didn't kind of peel, that's fine. Don't need the seeds for the poblano, so we'll shake all the seeds off of there, most as we can. Shred that up with your hand, throw it in there. It's all gonna get whacked together. And we'll go with one of the jalapenos, which this is a smoked jalapeno, which will take on the properties of a chipotle. You know about that, right? Chipotles are smoked jalapenos, of course. I'm gonna go seeds and all with this, by the way. I'm just gonna, I'll take some of them out so there's not too many. But peel that, break it up, get it nice and, ooh, oh my God, it smells so good. So if you're wondering why we didn't put an onion on the smoker, I've seen people do that, is I want the onion to be an onion. I want it to not be sweet. We have other things that got smoke and sweet here. And last but not least, we're going to squeeze in our beautiful, gorgeous garlic and show you, look at that. That's where the flavor is, my friends, these gooey garlic bombs. And this is still warm. You can use the foil to kind of insulate as you squeeze these out. My goodness. Do you get it? Oh, it's steaming hot. But that is the magic. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. That is the magic that makes this salsa go. I mean, it is incredible. Okay, let's get the lid on here and start zapping this a few times. And of course, from here we can alter and add anything we want. We've got our tomatoes standing by, we've got vinegar, salt, a little more cilantro if we need it. But let's see where we get. I'm pulsing it and kind of looking at it. I want to make sure I get this broke down quite a bit. This isn't so much chunky. This is, some might call this restaurant style. Are you seeing that? Oh, all right, let me get in here. You seeing where we're going with this? That looks gorgeous. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a quick taste. Got the heat, got the sweet. Wow, that's good. I just think we need to zap it. A couple more zaps. Wow, unbelievable. Before I punched out, I just wanted to get close up on that. If you could smell this, it's so gorgeous. Okay, so here's another tip that if you don't want such a wet salsa and you kind of want just really tighter and chunkier, you can do a little bit of straining. This salsa, I kind of like where it is, but let me show you this a little bit and then you'll see what I'm talking about. We're gonna hold that blade, pour some, and sometimes I'll do half of this and then half I'll leave it the way it was. We're just wiggling it and giving it a little strain. And we're getting a little bit of juice in there. We're just eliminating some of the moisture if you want a drier salsa. I'll let you see what this looks like in the bowl. Wiggle a little more out, and then boom. Then you have this gorgeous, slightly tighter salsa. That's a pretty good consistency. I'm gonna strain the rest of this. Beautiful salsa perfection. You can see it through the side of the bowl. Look at that. Sorry about the contrast. I just wanted to shoot on the porch today. That is complete, perfect mixture. Let's throw a chip in it. Let's get a chip in there and see how it does. These tomatoes are sweet. The little ones are sweet, the big ones are sweet. The smoke and the garlic is heaven. The tomatillos add this tartness to it. Just perfect amount of salt, perfect amount of pepper, black pepper, barely can tell any black pepper, but it's in there. No more vinegar. I don't think, let's add some lime. Let's add some lime. All right, we'll add one little squeeze, not a ton. Mix that in. Now I'll do a little bit more. Now that I was sitting here going through the whole thing, I realized that a little bit of lime won't hurt to add to that, but there you have it. My favorite smoked salsa recipe, which actually changes every time I make it. And you should too. Experiment. Less pepper, more tomatillos, maybe less tomatillos. Try it without the tomatillos. But the key here is to get it on the smoke, get that garlic smoky and roasted. Don't close it up. Let that garlic get the smoke, and you will have yourself a great time every time you make smoked salsa. Thanks for watching Barbecue It. I'm Craig. Thanks for subscribing, liking, sharing, all that jazz. And I truly appreciate you. Love you guys. Oh.